What's up everyone, my name is Raleigh and today I'm going to be sharing with you 3 unique tips that you can use to absolutely crush your next job interview. Now, you probably think these are going to be the same tips you hear all the time from everyone else, such as look and be professional, present yourself in a confident manner, act like you actually want the job. But I promise you that's not all I'm going to tell you. These tips are in fact unique and they will do a lot to set yourself apart from the rest of the people who are interviewing for this particular job. Now, really quickly, just to assure you, I'm not just blowing smoke here. I've used these particular tips myself. I'm a product manager in the software industry, and these are tips that I've found to be really helpful when I was looking for a job. I'm currently happily employed and very happy with where my career has progressed, and in large part due to the offers that I've received on the tail end of using these tips during my job interviews. I've also recommended these tips to friends in a wide variety of different industries, and they have found success with them as well. So with that said, I hope you find this information valuable. If you do, please don't forget to like this video. And if you love this video or other videos I put out there, please subscribe. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on anything else I put out there. Alrighty, so my number 1 tip in terms of how you can separate yourself from other people who are interviewing for this particular role is to actually leave those people who are interviewing you with something that they can take back themselves. Most ideally, if you could leave them with a recommendation in terms of how their company could perform better or how you could make their lives easier on a day-to-day basis in their particular roles, that would be absolutely awesome. But even if it's something more on a personal level, like you find out that they like hiking and you could share with them some local hikes, that's awesome and will definitely set yourself apart from the rest of the people who are interviewing. Because I mean, if you think about it, right, these people are sitting there, they're spending all day falling behind in their own work while they interview people who may or may not directly help them, right? So they're falling further behind, they're getting stressed, they have a bunch of emails piling up. And so if you can leave them with something that would help them out, or, just leave them with something fun they can do on the weekend, that's always a plus and will definitely set you apart from the rest of the people. So to give you an example of this one, I'm going to use a company that we're all familiar with. Let's say I'm applying for a product management job at Netflix and I've gone through the entire interview process and I've reached the portion where they ask me if I have any questions for them. Now, rather than leading off with a generic question, I could instead say something along the lines of this. So I've been asking my friends who all use Netflix and I've been doing a little market research, and I'm curious if you guys have done any analysis in terms of the way you release your content. And the reason I say this is because I know today you release everything kind of in one big batch to where a whole season is released and therefore people watch everything maybe even in one night or one weekend. And that leads to people watching everything and then maybe not coming back for a month. So what's your thoughts on maybe changing that up a little bit and instead of releasing everything at once, maybe releasing 2 or 3 episodes every weekend? That way people watch your content for like an hour, hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours, and then come back to it week after week after week, rather than seeing these large gaps where people just don't return to Netflix because they feel like there's nothing new for them to watch at that time. Now, even if they don't like your analysis, this is a positive thing to do because it shows the people who are interviewing you that you're willing to provide them value right away. Even before you're being hired, you've already been thinking about this job interview, you've been thinking about the job in general, you've been thinking about the company, and you're ready to jump in there and provide value, which is really what they're looking for. So again, even if they don't agree with your analysis, this is a win-win opportunity and it'll definitely set yourself apart from the other people who are interviewing. Now, the second one seems so obvious, but for some reason people don't do it or they don't take advantage of the information that they find out when they do it. So this one, quite simply, is to research the people who are interviewing you. I know, it seems like a no-brainer, but you'd be shocked how many people do it kind of half-heartedly or in a way that they can't really take advantage of any of the information. And doing this is so important because this person is not only interviewing you to make sure that you're qualified from like a technical perspective, like your business acumen is good, or if you're like an engineer that you're smart enough or capable enough to do the role, but they also want to make sure that they work well with you, or if it's your boss, they want to make sure that they can relate to you and you don't seem like you'll cause a lot of problems, right? No one wants to work with someone they can't relate to, they can't talk with, or they feel like will cause some trouble, right? So there's lots of ways to do this too. It's not actually that hard. Like, let's even take an extreme scenario where you don't relate to the person at all, right? So let's say, for example, I'm interviewing for a product management role and the person who's going to be interviewing me is from another country. Let's say they're from France, and let's say they went to the University of Utah, which I don't really know that much about. And let's say they worked in industries that, again, I don't know very much about in their past roles. Now, I can focus on any of these 1-3 things and learn a little bit about them in order to relate to this person. So let's pick their university, University of Utah. I know that Utah has some beautiful scenery and there's some awesome hikes. So I could bring up the simple fact that, hey, have you ever been to Zion National Park? I heard it's super beautiful. I've always wanted to go there. I saw that you went to the University of Utah and just wanted to hear your thoughts. Just bringing up something as simple as that shows them that you can find something you can relate to them on. Now, even if they say, hey, I don't really hike, then you could try another thing. For example, University of Utah, don't you guys have a pretty good football team? Or hey, University of Utah, I heard there's some great skiing around there, right? Like there's always something in those areas you can relate to them on. And again, you're trying to not only demonstrate that you're technically sound, but also you get along with them. So that's tip number 2. Now, this third tip I'm going to give you can only be used in certain situations, and that's when the person interviewing you gives you like one of those random creative problem-solving questions. For example, Google's very famous for asking, if you were shrunk down to the size of a nickel and put in a blender, how would you get out? And they ask these questions just to see how creative you are and how you deal with problems that they can't train you on. You have to think on your feet and figure out how to solve for them, right? They're good questions for understanding people's problem-solving skills. Now, once you answer this question and you give some time for them to have some sort of response, ask them how they would have gotten out of that situation or how they would have solved that problem. It opens the door for them to talk a little bit about themselves. And I find people always like to talk about themselves in these interviews because they're sitting there asking questions all day, right? And it opens the door for you to have some conversation with them on more of a small talk level where, again, you can showcase your personality and show that you relate to them on some way, shape, or form. So, for example, after you answer the question, just say, hey, Jeff, how would you have gotten out of that blender? Just out of curiosity, right? Again, it's a great way to kind of break the ice and have small talk or casual conversation and show that you relate to them. So that's it. Those are the 3 tips that'll set you apart from the rest of the people who are interviewing for the job. The first one, just to quickly summarize, is to give them some value, right? Maybe give them a recommendation in terms of how they can improve their business or how they can improve their day-to-day, or even just some local hikes that you like, even if it's really personal and small like that, right? Just give them something that they can take back with themselves and take advantage of, right? The next one would be to do some research on them in order to open the door for some more casual conversation and showcase that you relate to them. And the third and last one, if they ask you one of those random creative questions, simply ask them how they would have solved for that problem in order to give them an opportunity for you to talk and in order for you to open the door a little bit to have some more casual one-on-one conversation and just break the ice a little bit more and make them feel comfortable as well as you. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you find it valuable. Please like and subscribe if you did. With that said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and take it easy.